Oh my gosh.
The mayor. The mayor of the
Pretty Gallus, we're ready to roll.
Oh, here we are.
Hey, thank you for being here the day before Thanksgiving. I was shocked when Danny said, the day before Thanksgiving? I said, gutsy move, Danny.
We're here.
Yeah, I am. I'm John Krajewski. I'm your territory manager for Tresca. I work directly for the company. They're located in Weert, Netherlands. My first invitation to you, if you're ever there in the Netherlands, Belgium, through me, arrange a plant tour, and I promise you, you'll be well taken care of. You'll get a free night hotel, you'll have a good meal, you'll have an amazing tour. Hey, Danielle, how are you? Good to see you. Of our plant, which is state of the science, and yeah. So I deal with them every day. They're great people. They're tall. And I've been with the company now for 6.5 years. I've been on a couple of your jobs, worked with Jonathan before, Danielle, and just sort of to update and refresh you on what's going on in the world of Tresca. My job, work with you, is one, to achieve your design aesthetic. Number two, hit your budget for it. I'm willing to look at the final dimension drawings, go through our fabricator, to an installer, and to give you a realistic number for you to present to the owner, so there's no misgivings at all when the general contractor says that stuff costs $180 a square foot and you give them a quote for $44. So that's the fun part of my job. We have some new products. I wish John Forty was here, because last time I came in, we sort of did a mixed meet and greet, and there's alcohol involved and cheese. It was a lot of fun. I remember driving home and John was saying, "You guys are too expensive, too expensive." Well, that prompted me to find a solution for John. We have a new flanking product called Pura. It sells for about $13 a square foot, including the fasteners. It's either on a wood flooring strip or a standoff slip that's on top of there. Comes in 8 wood tones, 8 solid colors. You get put up here for about $25 a square foot in the DC area. So we train carpenters.
35, is that what you said?
25. And that is stocked in the U.S., so you're looking maybe at a week lead time. I know with other Tresca products, you're looking 6 to 8 weeks in the Netherlands, 2 weeks for fabrication. Well, we're looking at the market a little harder now and have started a stocking program with the Pura material. Otherwise, we have our commercial sheets called Medion, and all across here in the DC area, we'll look at a couple of slides. We work through national fabricators for our Medion. The closest one is in Grove, Pennsylvania, called River Supply. You may have interfaced with them at one time or the other. We work with only trained installers, so that the final product, when it's put up, actually functions well the way it's designed. I would also state that because we do work through fabricators and installers, that assures the owner of quality job, which is most important to us. So we get repeat business from Pressure Laminate. Pressure Laminate gets repeat business from the owner for specifying the good products that they're happy with. Tresca's been around for 60 years. We've been known to be a very durable, long-performing material. I was with Marriott Corporation last week. It's actually a panel out here that says Marriott. Interesting. I met with their designers and pre-construction team on new prototypes, cladding, and on their residence program, which they're very interested in the Pura. Issue for them was no longer lead force. We were going, okay, what is it? They said sustainability. We want products that last longer, so we don't have to have a 15-year reinvention of the facade. We're looking more at 30 years now on our new prototype properties and residence, something with low maintenance. And that's where we came into very well. And right now we have a corporate identity program going on in Bethesda, Maryland, at the Marriott Corporation because of their interest in sustainability. We're looking at a 50-year life cycle with this, and with the Pura. The Pura custom, by the way, from the large Medion plant. So it's the same material, it's just a different brand and different usage.
Good question. Is what are the material? Is that standard module or
It is
what's that module?
7 1/4 inches high by 10 feet long. It's cut from a 5 by 10 panel to get the maximum yield. That's why the price is very attractive at that point. There's virtually no waste on it. For those who aren't familiar with press cladding, maybe everyone back there? Everyone? Nobody? Nobody? It's much different than fiber cement products. Doesn't break, shatter like fiber cement, doesn't bend like HPL. Just give you an idea of how hard that product really is. I'm local to the area. I'm in and out of DC every other week. Otherwise, I'm traveling. And contacting me, I'll provide with you the details, specifications, approach any kind of code requirements, particularly NFPA 285, and get you realistic costs in something like that. All I ask in return is that if I get involved with the project and the project withers or dies, send me an email, please, because often I don't get the responses and I still have to think that in my database. No harm, no foul, and something like that. Good gig. I'm going to start in on the presentation. 1 AIA credit, HSW. The sign-in sheet's way back there. I hope everybody's signed in. You'll get an E certificate as well as being registered with AIA in Washington, D.C. Okay. Today is, I'll make sure I'm doing this right. Understanding HPL, that's the acronym for high pressure laminate, and the benefits of Rainscreen. When I first took this job about 6 years ago, a great deal of people in the industry were not familiar with Rainscreen. And that includes architects, owners, and general contractors saying, why should we have put something up, a cladding with a hole in it? And it's changed since then because designers and all the rest of the industry have come to realize there's a scrum of air coming up the side of the building called stack pressure. And that is captured in a Rainscreen application. When you design with Rainscreen, you're working with nature, what they give you, a stack of air moving up the side of the building. 1 HSW, AIA certified. We'll get into this. We'll talk about HPL, how they're different than other material like cementitious products, aluminum composite materials, some of the fundamentals of Rainscreen systems, and what you could do with HPL. The slides I'm going to show you are pretty germane to this local area, which you may be familiar with. The pressure laminate consists of a two-step process in manufacturing. You have your core through here, and you have a decorative surface. And that decorative surface is unique in some instances because of the new technology. Okay. Please move. Not moving along. Not quite sure how it is. Not in show. Okay. Sure you'll have here is, you're playing with me now. Okay, good. The core material is impregnated craft paper. Craft paper is sort of like a brown paper bag, but much different. Interestingly, a lot of the world's supply of craft paper comes from South Carolina, and shipped globally, and that material is shipped to Europe for manufacturing. The decorative surface is done with electron beam curing. That's something specific I'd like to talk to you about that differentiates one product from another in the HPL category. They've been known to be highly weather resistant, very color stable. I have two samples here, one up in Spain in 1999 in a contemporary piece. I'm going to go around this side now. can just put that in to give you an idea of the color stability. Does anybody know which colors hardest to keep stable? Who said that? First one? Lucky you. You win a trust the bag. Yeah. You get a hard hat. You get a hard hat. You can hear. Yeah. Yeah. 50 years, again, long life performance. It's not for somebody, a owner who's going to say, fiber cement's too expensive. No, it's going to be for something more of a green thinking owner who wants to say, I want low maintenance. I don't want to disrupt my people's lifestyle in this building. That's the selling point of an HPL. Extraordinary low maintenance, you're talking about washing the panels, looking at 50 years, and I think that's the real attraction to an HPL. Solid and sturdy, and because of all the different colors that are involved, it gives you, the architect, a lot of choices to use for whatever, for decorative purposes, for directionality even. Well, look how the material is tested. Two standards, European and American. European one, EN, is much more rigid because it is under a South Florida exposure, and it also tests for micro cracking in the material. The US one is done in deltas. The European one is done in grayscale. So if anyone really is that interested in it, I could go into further detail in something like that. So taking you inside the laboratory. Xenon lamp, all the panels are exposed for 3,000 hours. And that gives you the final determination of the color change. EDC, which we'll soon talk about, after 3,000 hours, no discernible change at all in the color stability. Other HPLs who use an older technology, melamine, which is a hard set thermoplastic, will show color degradation at time, having a lower scale both on the US and on the European test data. That material I've passed around, this is from the Netherlands. The red ones being passed around are from Spain, just to give you a visual of how well they've maintained themselves over a number of years when exposed to UV and infrared. Materials wood-based. As I explained, South Carolina, biggest producer of craft paper in the world. The only expansion you get is under a lot of humidity, and that's 3/100 per lineal foot. So there's not a lot of expansion. However, it does, systems are engineered to have a gap to handle that kind of expansion and contraction. After it dries out, material reverts back to its original form without any of the oil canning that you typically would see in other materials. Right now, there are 4 European manufacturers of exterior panels. There's one in the United States, all with different routes to market. Some will allow their panels only to be cut in the field. Some will work with partners, providing complete engineered systems, meaning shop drawings, engineering stamps, working out details for final product. EDC technology is a closed pore surface technology. You can see air with melamine starting to open up a little more on it. Material is, some HPL will need to be edge treated, like a cementation product, or some not at all. So if there's any adjustment in the field with the panel, that can very easily be cut without having any kind of degradation to the outside of the panel, because some manufacturers, again, have the chemical makeup that disallows any kind of edge treatment. Materials tested again to ASTM standards and EM standards. A lot of the warranties are and HPL are dependent on their test data. Impact resistance to lamination, color fade, resistance to wet conditions, resistance to salt spray. You can very freely design with an HPL in an ocean-like atmosphere because all you need to do is close it off, and there's no backing away of the warranty. They're pretty straightforward. Some are adjudicated overseas, some are adjudicated warranty-wise in the United States. Always good to know. Share that information with your owners. Here are some good parts. You have a huge choice of decor. We got color cards there. Thank you. Looking at a multitude of solid colors, wood tones, natural elements which mimic stone or cementitious products, metallics that have a gloss reflectance, focused materials that sort of look like a linen pattern and other distinct patterns, and luminescent type of products. You stay within the family of, we'll say, wood tones and kind of mix it up. There's really no extra charge for going from 5,000 square feet of a Pacific board down to 100 square feet of a Milano Terra. The way the material is manufactured in stock, there's no penalty for using a small amount of the material on the job. The different textures you have are going to be matte, something very soft with a very low reflectance quality. So that's more popping satin, and even rock finishes, sort of a pebble finish. Just recently introduced by one, a ribbon finish, particularly set for airports.
So every color you get all finished. So all of these colors come in these finishes.
Yes. And the newest one is Tropical Refix, which is a very big seller there for one company. You can use a single or double-sided panel. Yes, sir.
Did you say there was no minimum order for all colors or just
within the family? Okay. So if you're looking at a mosquito green, 5,000 square feet, you're looking at 100 square feet of black. You don't get hit with that extra charge because they're using a small amount. Single or double-sided? Double-sided panels are typically used in areas where you may have a great degree of vandalism. And in schools, perhaps in inner cities or elsewhere, high traffic areas, etc. And the advantage of that is on an externally fastened system, you can take the fasteners out, flip the panel, and have that on-building house stuff. House stuff 75 cents per foot more, particularly relevant on the first floor unless you have very motivated graffiti artists or vandals on something like that. Panel sizes come in 5 by 10, 6 by 8, 6 by 12, 7 by 14. Those fixed panel sizes are intended to get as much maximum yield as we can from the panel. And my job to work with you to green paint a design to say, how can we be most efficient and not waste any kind of material on your designers, and include that in the final aesthetic. Panel thicknesses are going to be 5/16, 3/8, or 1/2 inch, or 8 millimeter, 10 millimeter, or 13 millimeter in metric. Material does come from sustained, well-managed stores all across the U.S., particularly down south in Carolina as a reference point. From there, that material, with a slight administrative cost, is carried through the whole manufacturing process to the installer, gives back to you for either a PEFC or FSC certification, meaning that you get your lead points from that status. The other lead points would be in the amount of aluminum used as well. So there's a number of ways to approach lead, but again, within the last couple of weeks, we're seeing a trend more towards sustainable products rather than lead points. What do you see here at 40 gallons? More lead? Sustainable products, yeah. That's becoming more of an issue. It's very big in Europe. It's becoming more recognized here. Part of it is landfill requirements. So, good trend. Let's see how this material is manufactured. You can imagine rolls of tape 5 foot, 6 foot, 7 foot wide. They get immersed in a phenolic resin bath. That's what's required in Ricardo to give it a Class A rating and to meet the ASTM E84 flame spread and smoke development required in the U.S. It's squeegeed off and put into a low temperature oven where the material is cut to the final panel size. Gives you an idea of how big those rollers are before they go into the phenolic resin bath. Panels cut to final size, and so you're seeing a lot of different sheets, 5 by 10, 6 by 12, ready for final production. It takes about twice as much paper, and this is illustrative, to make the final product. This is a transition piece from the raw craft paper to this edge, which is the final product. I'll go on this side. Guys, one of the turkey burritos. And can I have that back? That's sort of like my last one. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Okay. Unique to European manufacturing, and increasingly so in the U.S., for solid colors, one roller per decor. So if you're looking at wine red, there's only one roller. Twofold reason. One, cuts down on cleaning of the panel with a caustic material, no VOC. Number two, ordinary color. That same roller will be used over and over again on solid colors. The wood, the metallic, and the other decors are digitally printed on. It's slightly different, but the majority of HPLs are solid color. Electron beam current. This is an electronic wavelength. Goes into a large chamber where the electronic wavelength meshes the molecules of the acrylic overlay and the pigmentation on the decor, whether it be wood, decor, or solid. Creates a very smooth pore surface, very similar to glass. That's why it's very easy to clean. I have a piece of HPL here with an indelible marker. Goof off. Sit for a couple seconds. Turn this ultra clean. No dosing either. One of the consideration in the area you're working with, and something to think about when you are working in areas either double-sided or a selling point of HPL, which can be easily cleaned if there's a great deal of graffiti on it. I was with a DC architect yesterday, and they were saying there's a trend in DC. If the graphics on any of the panels or wall elements are very artistic, they keep it. Okay, about 30 years, the whole city will be artistic. Anyway, a lot of fun. Okay. Final process is you have the core paper, craft paper, and you have the electron beam surface, either on the top and on the bottom. They're put into a series of daylights where under a specific heat and pressure, they create final panel for global shipping. The panel is not laminate, truly monolithic. That the decorative surface part of the floor or part of the surface at that point. Rainscreen started about 200 years ago in Norway. Farmers seeing unremitting snow, sleet, and rain, getting pummeled. Being resourceful, they just slapped up extra material with Rainscreen. What they didn't know at that time is something I referenced earlier. They were capturing stack pressure, thermal air moving up. The technology started in Europe, was more fully engineered in Canada, and introduced to this country about 30 years ago. It isn't until recently that the benefits of Rainscreen have really caught on in the North American market. The advantages of Rainscreen is one, zero solar heat gain, so you're working with full fenestration on a building, but it gives you the solar heat gain numbers you have to make your building more energy efficient, and it handles rain much differently than a single-skin building. Some of the things to consider when you're working with the systems are, one, you want to use a black weather barrier because it meets the core, make sure it's healthy, healing, and UV stable. You want to use black aluminum to match the panel core. And at the very bottom, you're thinking about using a slotted screen. Slotted screen is there for one reason: keep garments out, little mice, floral. Insects do not like HPL because of the constant air moving, but the slotted screen is fairly important to have. You see here, single skin buildings, traditional North American buildings. If you have any kind of incursion due to poor installation, a substitution that became unknown to you, I'm sure that's never happened at one bit, or a bad application, you can have an incursion into your design walls with moisture. That creates a lot of problems. That created a whole separate industry of how do you rehabilitate it. Rainscreen is different. 85% of the water shed on the outside, 10 or 12 on the inside face of it. Because there's convective air, that will dry out over time. That makes it unique, makes it different than a single skin building. Again, enhanced with nature gives to you as a natural element. The systems are used worldwide. Alaska, just Singapore, right here in Silver Spring, Maryland. System functions and is always working. Take advantage of that airflow. Typical systems to be used to be aluminum, galvanized steel. You see here the planking can be done with wood. There's a lot of different ways for framing. But the building code is most applicable to all combustible materials and SCA 285. A lot of people know about it here. I don't think I have to get into any detail. Ask for the test. Ask for the IPC report to get into NSCA 285. For those who don't know anything about NSCA 285, I have a couple of good articles written by registered fire engineers who can explain it in English terms, how the test is conducted, to give you an assurance that you're working well. Every county is different. An authority having jurisdiction on the will sometimes push the envelope and ask for more information, particularly to say, well, do you have it tested on a CMU wall? And you say, no, we did it with thin glass steel structure. Say, well, we want it for a CMU wall. At that point, instead of testing with the authority, having a fire engineer writing a letter of equivalence to stamping in. Look at the different systems. All the systems are preempted with having a stationary point and expansion holes on the perimeter of the panel. That is to prevent it from, step one, prevent it from losing its lateral movement, and two, allowing it to expand and contract. These are generic in nature. Hat channel, J channel, exposed fasteners, structural backing plate to be galvanized steel, or it could very well be a plywood or a structural plywood or dense board. That's something an issue we need to follow up. Systems, this is color coordinated fasteners, so it appears to be a type of concealed system. Concealed versus externally fastened system is about $8 points difference. There's more metal in the thicker panel involved in concealed. There are new systems that will just use a typical concealed system, vertical, horizontal. You see a rail, so you could increase your system depth. Otherwise, the point to remember is cavity depth from going from a 1-inch to a 2-inch system then. But there are other fabricators who lead NFPA 285 who may just on concealed systems just run a horizontal and attaching to the stud, lowering the cost, lowering the installation. Talk to your HPL manufacturer what system works best for you. That's the advice I can give. NFPA compliant system. This is good for the DC area. What's to help conform HPL is fine mineral wool because of its non-combustibility and for its recycling capability as well. Okay, we talked about some of the rules about what to do with the design. I'd always lift it up 6 to 8 inches off the ground. The bottom panel, that's just because to go to the landscape people, they'll throw mulch up against the side. It's not going to hurt the panel, but it may impede the airflow. So something to consider at the very front.
What do you see done in the first 6 to 8 inches? That stone with the water table?
Stone, brick, yeah, painted CMU, painted concrete. I'm always thinking of the end user. What's most important. And it may bring the panels down 1 inch out the front, and then you'll have on the back, and you have 8 inches. Some people say that's not just put in the design. Okay, but what I'm trying to tell you. Until 2012, IBC section 1409 covers HPL. Before that, they were just loosely defined under plastic, and that's changed. ICC evaluation reports always should be per the building code year. Whether it's 2015, yeah. Some only comply to 2009, so they're expensive to update, to be honest with you. It's always good to see that date comply. If there's any questions, ask for the actual text, and that will really prove the veracity of how well the panel performs. Some systems use fire stops above the windows that come out HPL, some don't. Always a different way to learn how you tap an HPA-285. Great use for Rainscreen, canopies, soffits, scientific furniture because of closed core. You frequently find them in laboratory applications, schools and in hospitals. Here's a column where you don't want to use them for roofing. Too slick. You'll go flying off that in a heartbeat because of that closed core surface. Recladding. Great opportunity for HPL to transform a building made in the 60s, plain brick, something more contemporary. What's at issue here is, are there asbestos? So you know what kind of factor you can put that into. Who's going to be doing the returns on the windows? Who's going to be cutting out for the PCAT? Issues like that. Does the building need to be laser laid out? Because if the building settle is not even anymore, how true do you want the panel to be? Most fabricators have good laser layout programs right now, and include machine programs that's laid out in the shop front. This job is of great interest because it has included on the bottom level hill here the two-sided panel. Architect Peter Gluck out of New York designing a hotel in East 54th Street in East Harlem in New York. He decided to go and engross himself inside the community and ask them what they want out of a building, a new school that's going to be built. And he heard and recognized there's a lot of different demographic changes to the neighborhood and demographic input of what people wanted. What he designed was reflective of that demography, polychromatic building. So the bottom floor has a double-sided panel, and because he claims that there's the community input he had in that particular design, virtually no graffiti, there's no vandalism to the building at all. It's become iconic because of the community input on the building and on the design. Materials can be used for directionality. If you're looking in areas which are all monolithic in color, monochromatic, you can give directionality to a building like the balcony in Southern California. Provide blue building with the blue balcony on the white building. Station can be used for that as well. That is still back drained and ventilated. Can be using that clapboard material we talked about earlier. Type of material and blend it in with other materials. This particular job won a number of architectural awards in Europe, and I like to show that. Here's an all-wood look with a very cubist style to it. And with a wood grain interior, open courtyard in that. Anybody wants any more information, I could give you the number of articles that have been written and praised about this particular project. Great for soffit use, and it can handle the moisture. Try to use externally fastened systems there. It gives the project facility manager access and use the conduit to the inside. Okay, look at HPL. Architect architect here chose the right HPL material, but didn't include the fact that the aluminum should be painted black. So you get what you specify, right? And the owner wasn't happy, but it was fit for plan to spec. Subaru dealership in Loudoun County. A melange of the planking system. NSPA 285, New York City, old condo building. It has exposed fasteners. If you come close enough later, you can see the little tiny dot, how well it blends into the decor. A job that's very familiar downtown. Susan Reddick is the architect. She's done a number of these larger, more colorful jobs. And interestingly, where she, yes, you worked with her? And this is cool with her daughter. Really? Oh, yeah. Yeah. She boldly introduced color into a monochromatic city of gray, beige, white, brown. A lot of color in DC. She introduced the color, and concentrically, more design up, went out with more and more colors, blues, yellows, colors that were introduced to the mundane DC area. It can be constructed to be very playful too. And today, with the advent of high-speed CNC machines, you can do beautiful geometric patterns. It's a waterhouse in a boathouse in California. Notice the panels are brought right down to the ground level, except for 1 inch. That's the planking system you've seen earlier. Here's the planking system again in the Hamptons, right on the ocean, being again very resistant to fault spray. Chelsea Art Tower, New York. High-rise, an FTA 285, metallic, same color. So you're saying, the advantage of metallic, gloss reflective, is very similar to a floor tile. If you turn it, you get a different aesthetic appearance. You can use metallic very playfully and using the same decor. Downtown DC on 14th Street, this is a homeless transition home owned by the city of DC. The wood tones you see here and here are all HPLs. This job is very good interest. This is a 12-year-old job. This was taken 2 years ago, this photograph. It's in South Florida called Miami Intermodal. I'd just like to point out how that dark brown has held up over time. When somebody says, how well does it hold up? Does the color fade? Do I have to paint it? I'll be glad to share the slides with 40 slides, share within it with a kind of the inside of Loudoun County, the new Academy of Loudoun County. Urban planking results down in Portland, Oregon. Charlottesville, brand new hotel, Craftsman Hotel, that was just put up about 1.5 years ago. Material can be bent, convex, concave to a minimum of 14 feet. Right next to the World Champion National, huh? How about that this year? Right next door, Dock 79. The building is bookended with HPL panels. Award-winning Rainscreen application on Water Street in DC. And it won an award because of particular layout, and that is most featured up at the top where the panels fan out and they're rounded at the top. It was a very good shimming program and a laser layout to give that aesthetic accuracy, to give that pure geometry at the very top. Home in California, right on the beach, 14 years old now, taken last year. Perhaps our retirement home. We really do well in our lives. And that's it. Consider me a resource in this area very often. I hope you've learned something about HPL, about Trustbox. If you have any questions and/or projects, I'm your person. Be glad to help you with any endeavor that you're done. Thank you. Thank you.